while ago I did an experiment in Cyberpunk where I visited mission locations before the actual missions themselves to see if there was any unique dialogue or NPC interactions. That video only covered the base game, and I finally got around to doing the same thing with Phantom Liberty. Apologies for the delay, as it took me a while to find the time and motivation to play through it again. Unfortunately, as you can tell by the title of the video, there's practically nothing, a lot of which is by design, which we'll get into later in the video. Nevertheless, I'll still show you some of the discovery process, although this video will subsequently be much shorter and more compact than the last one. In order to keep track of all the missions, I created a spreadsheet to track all the locations I needed to go to, including the side jobs and gigs. Free roam within Dogtown doesn't begin until the mission Lucretia My Reflection, after you have saved President Myers. 4 of the gigs also become available immediately, so it's impossible to visit those locations beforehand, aside from the police station outside of Dogtown, which is locked. You might ask, what if you glitch into Dogtown before? Well, if you need to glitch or hack your way into areas, I'm gonna assume they did not prepare anything extra for that. That was my philosophy with the last video as well, so for anyone suggesting using mods or no-clip to get into these places, that's why I didn't do it. So as soon as I was able to freely explore Dogtown, I began hitting up all the locations I could. And because my V was kinda goofy looking last time, this time I deployed Tifa, or Vifa. I'm not going to show you the entire process this time, just take my word that I went to every single spot that I could for the main jobs, side jobs, and gigs. Nearly every location had the doors locked, which means you can't get into places. A lot of them had that unpowered status. Some places are completely inaccessible, like the Cynosure facility for example, where the entrance isn't revealed until Somi crashes through the wall. But one extra thing you can do in Dogtown is talk to Ronald Malone. This guy can give you the inside scoop on happenings in the district, and you can ask him about some of the big landmarks. I asked him about the Black Sapphire and the Heavy Hearts Club. Oh, Reed is also gone from Dino's club as soon as you begin Phantom Liberty. When you meet with him, he says it's his day off, so they took care of that, but in case you were wondering, you won't find him if you go back there. So after playing through all of Phantom Liberty, the main jobs, the side jobs, and the gigs, I only found one instance of a unique interaction from V recognizing a place. It happens right after the mission The Damned. Here's how it plays out normally.
Black Sapphire. Said Hansen's throwing a big bash there. We get in, she'll find us. Any idea what and where this Sapphire is?
Over there. See the taller of the 2 scrapers? Next to the one with the big-ass screen. That's the Black Sapphire. A would-be hotel ended up a failed multi-billion Eddie investment.
If V knows about the Black Sapphire, they don't need to ask Reed where it is, but the resulting scene is still kinda weird.
Black Sapphire. Said Hansen's throwing a big bash there. We get in, she'll find us.
That's the Black Sapphire. A would-be hotel ended up a failed multi-billion Eddie investment.
So nothing too special, but V and Reed both skip their lines about it, and Reed still awkwardly gestures at it. I'm not sure if this is a result of talking to Ronald or seeing the front of it in person, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably because of Ronald. Everything else, and I mean everything, plays out as usual. I know some people are inevitably gonna say, what about the 6th Street guy that recognizes V and Reed's ending? Or what about Cynthia and Songbird's ending? Or Lizzy Wizzy, Maiko, and any of the other NPCs at the Black Sapphire party? Yes, those are unique instances of V being recognized, but that's not really the scope of the video. Now this is something a lot of people got confused about with the last video too. If we're doing, does V recognize NPCs, or do NPCs recognize V, then that's an entirely different experiment. With the location as the focal point, there's unfortunately nothing going on with Phantom Liberty. I get that in terms of writing, it would be a bit ridiculous for V to keep chiming in and saying, oh yeah, I know that place, but there's a few times I felt like they could have slid in something, just to acknowledge that your V has seen it before. While this may be disappointing, I can't say I'm too surprised with this. It may sound like I'm shilling for CDPR here, but the reasoning behind this seems clear to me. And it's simply that the Phantom Liberty missions are all pretty complex. The gigs especially are a big step up from the ones in the base game. In order to make sure things get sequenced correctly, I think they only unlock places when missions are actually started so nothing gets screwed up. For example, in the base game, I actually managed to break the Highwayman quest by doing things out of order. It's now forever unfinishable on this save. On this note, one of the things I did not cover in the last video were the gigs from the base game. But those have the same problem where most locations are sealed off before the gigs themselves are unlocked. I don't think gigs were designed to have much dialogue between Fixers and V either, as there's an option to skip the calls entirely. This of course was changed with Phantom Liberty where V talks more with Mr. Hands, but for the base game it's generally a one-sided call. There's a few places where you are able to get in and actually retrieve whatever thing you were supposed to steal. I was able to do this in the Regina gig Dirty Biz and the Wakako gigs Until Death Do Us Part and Wakako's Favorite. All that happens in those scenarios is that you get to skip the retrieval part and the objective instantly updates when entering the location. So in order to completely prevent something like that from happening with Phantom Liberty, they made sure the doors stay locked so the events of the missions happen as intended. Before we wrap up this endeavor, there's a few corrections I need to make from the last video. First up is Lizzy's bar. V actually does recognize this place during the information under the Corpo life path, since you go there as part of the prologue mission.
Not my first time.
Don't remember you.
Because I didn't get in through the front.
Huh, get a load of this one.
You could argue this is just due to the life path itself, but it also fits within the scope of the experiment of you, the player, controlling V and experiencing it there. Street Kid V knows Tom from Tom's Diner, but that's a result of the life path and doesn't rely on having been at the diner before.
Tom's alright. Not afraid to speak his mind, that's all.
He reminds me of my father. He also worked in a kitchen all his life.
So technically a moment of recognition, but outside the scope of the test. Worthy of an honorable mention, I guess. In Disaster Piece, the dealer skip is always achievable, and thanks to everyone who clarified on this. So while it was a skip, it had nothing to do with talking to him before. Someone also asked if you could kill him beforehand, and he is invulnerable before and after Disaster Piece. It seems like you can only vaporize him during the mission. The small man big mouth dialogue is actually not unique at all. Again, thanks to all that clarified this one for me. The line that I thought was unique just gets sequenced earlier than usual.
I'll clear my ass.
I forgot to cover the Arasaka mansion that's part of the Hanako ending in the last video. And V doesn't say anything about it if you go there before the mission. Not during the call with Hanako and not when arriving on the premises. There's also a few cases that are sort of the reverse where returning to a location will have new interactions. For example, if you return to the gas station from life during wartime, you can talk to the owner about Kang Tao occupying the place. Same thing with the Regina gig Shark in the Water if you return to the shop later on.
Yes?
Handled your little debt problem.
Thank you.
So with those corrections, the updated list of unique dialogue I found looks like this. And with that, I am now done reporting my findings. Perhaps some of you may have expected more from Phantom Liberty given that it is newer, in which case this may have been disappointing. But if you consider what I said about them wanting to lock down the objective sequencing, then I think it's not too surprising that there wasn't extra dialogue prepared for these scenarios. Still, hopefully experiments like this may motivate CDPR to create more hidden interactions in the next game. That does it for this video. Thanks for watching.